Part 22. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 214. At this time, Gucci ordered, "Everyone, go north." As soon as the words fell, all the members of Scene withdrew their gaze, cheered up, and started to continue on their way. The ordinary members of Scene are in groups of 5. There are 6 groups in total. One group goes to the front to explore the way, one group goes to the back, and the other 4 groups, 2 groups are on guard on the left and right of the team, and the remaining 2 groups stay in the middle, which is relatively safe. The safe position will rotate with other groups after a certain period of time. "Boss, why haven't you seen a child NPC yet?" the fat man huddled next to Sutingyu, not daring to leave even an inch. Sutingyu glanced around. "I don't see any child NPCs at this time, some are good and some are bad." "Ah," the fat man scratched his head. "There's a situation. Hidden." At this time, a group of members who had first gone to the turning point 20 meters ahead to explore the way hurried back. "Come into the store," Gucci shouted. Hearing this, everyone hid in the empty shops on both sides of the street. Sutingyu and others also hid in a candy store, and then closed the door ajar, leaving only a crack to see what was going on outside. As soon as everyone hid in the store, within a few seconds, a cold wind blew past, and on the empty street, there were 1, 2, 3, there seemed to be hundreds or even thousands of complex footsteps ringing from far to near. As the footsteps got closer and closer, countless small figures appeared on the street. "It's the missing child NPC." When they saw those figures clearly, the same answer emerged in everyone's mind. Through the crack in the door, Sutingyu saw what those children looked like now. During the day, all the children in the childlike amusement city, dressed in clean and tidy clothes, lived carefree in the city like little smiling angels. But now, the children's eyes were dull and their faces were dirty. They seemed to be walking slowly forward with mechanical instinct. The clean clothes on his body also became wrinkled and stained with blood. Some children have only 2 empty blood holes left in their eye sockets, and their beautiful eyes no longer exist. For some children, half of their arms seem to have been blown away by something, leaving only a bloody broken arm stuck to their bodies, which was still crumbling as they walked. Some children have lost their legs, leaving only their upper body, crawling little by little with their 2 little hands on the ground. Some children were disemboweled, with strips of intestines or damaged and bleeding internal organs exposed. These children, without exception, all have fatal wounds on their bodies, and now they are like walking zombies, wandering the streets. The queue was very long, and they waited for almost half an hour. When the child NPC could no longer be seen, everyone hiding in the store slowly breathed a sigh of relief. "Gucci, everyone speed up and get to the destination as soon as possible." "Yes." Because he encountered such an unexpected situation, Gucci sent another group out to explore the road. If he found a child NPC parading in the street, he would have to go around that section of the road even if it took time. Because no one knows the consequences of a head-on collision with a child NPC. There is a big hotel in front of us. A group of members who went to explore the road for the 7th time finally received good news. Everyone felt slightly relieved. The first 6 times, they all encountered child NPCs wandering the streets, and they could only take long detours again and again. Arriving in front of the hotel, Sutingyu raised his head and looked at the blood moon in the night sky again. I don't know if it was Sutingyu's illusion, but I always felt that the blood moon seemed a little bigger than before, but it was still a crescent moon. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 215. The 9th day of the copy. Copy time, midnight. It was almost 2300 hours when this team arrived at the hotel. After waiting for about an hour, the other 3 teams arrived one after another. The other 3 teams also encountered children parading on the street. However, they did not care about their good luck and accidentally made some noise during the process. They were discovered by the child NPC and lost some members. But it's not entirely without reward. At least now it can be confirmed that when those child NPCs see people, they seem to suddenly go crazy and stare at them. It is obvious that many of them have broken hands and feet, but they can burst out with strange and extremely fast speeds. Many players did not react, and were suppressed by the child NPC, who then continued to bite and beat them, and finally died abruptly. Players can only keep running away and avoiding the child NPC. The condition of the hidden mission is not to harm the child. No matter how you look at it, it looks like those child NPCs are persecuting the players. In addition, one team saw a hunter player killing a prey player in front of a child NPC on the way. It seemed that this angered the child NPC. They completely ignored the others and only stared at the hunter player, killing him a little bit. Dissect and kill. The scene was once very bloody and brutal. After arriving at the building where Scene UN had stayed, it was dark inside and everyone entered with flashlights. Members of several groups searched the entire building. After confirming that no one was around and it was safe, Chibubi called over several members of the Scene team. Get the equipment out. Yes. After finishing speaking, the members took out various equipment from the inventory, including the most important generators, lighting equipment, etc. The generators started operating, providing power, and the dim lobby on the first floor of the hotel suddenly became bright as day. Close the curtains and leave the door open to block out most of the light. Seeing this scene, Sotingyu was a little surprised. Can the copy still be played like this? You have all the daily necessities and equipment. Are you here for a dungeon vacation? No normal person would do such a crazy thing. The game coins are not brought by the strong wind. They are all used to buy supplies. There are no props to pass the level. How to improve the quality of life in the dungeon is for nothing. Perhaps, only alliances or groups can be so wealthy. Chibubi and the other three were responsible for arranging manpower. Their main job was to patrol and guard against possible dangers. Except for the members who need to guard their posts, everyone else rests in place. On the other side, Gucci and 4 people gathered together to discuss the hidden mission. Task 1, survive until the end of the copy. Needless to say, this is go. Task 2, before the copy ends, find or get the gifts prepared by the children. When it comes to finding or getting mentioned in the mission content, it can be understood that there are 2 ways for players to obtain gifts. One is to find them in the childlike amusement city, and the other is that players can get them by contacting children. The trouble with the first approach is, what is the specific form of the gift? Is it just candy? There are dozens, if not hundreds, of candy shops in the city. If you look for them one by one, you will find that there are countless candies in each shop. It is impossible that all the candies are gifts. The second way is to connect to task 3 and become a good person recognized by the children. If you can be recognized by children, you can easily get gifts from children, just like Sotingyu. The final task 4 is to heal the children's inner pain. Several people invariably thought of the scene of children parading in the street. No matter how you look at it, it looks like a death mission. Fortunately, players are not required to complete all hidden tasks, only one is required. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 216. The candy display is temporarily unavailable. It may be related to the fact that you are not fully approved. Not fully approved. Sotingyu thought it shouldn't be. She is obviously so kind, lovely, gentle and generous, and children like her so much that they not only give her candies, but also take her to touch the corpse. No matter how you look at it, you fully approve of her, right? Is there something wrong with this progress bar? I feel that I have completely gained the children's approval. Sutingyu looked at Gucci sincerely and firmly. Rangoose. Gucci turned his head, obviously expressionless, but inexplicably made Sutingyu feel a sense of contempt. Sutingyu, well, an illusion, it must be an illusion. 4 candies were distributed to 4 people. We are still not sure whether all the holders of the candies need to be recognized, or only the person who got the candies in the first place needs to be recognized, Gucci continued. Ah! Is there any difference? The fat man scratched his head, a little puzzled. We all have recognized tasks. There is no requirement that all players must complete this task. Now that we have the candy, if one person can lift the unusable restriction by getting approval, then it will be relatively easier than 4 people getting approval. The fat man suddenly realized something, then let the boss try it now. Gucci turned his head and asked Sutingyu, do you want to fool me again? If not, then the only thing left is that we all need to be recognized. Sutingyu blinked her big eyes, looking innocent. What kind of deception is this? We are obviously friends. But no matter how Sutingyu tried to clear it up, the 3 of them still didn't look away. Boss, why don't you just go and give it a try? You're so good at fooling children, so you'll be fine. The fat man clenched his fists and cheered Sutingyu up. Fat man, you have changed. You are no longer the honest fat man. Sutingyu covered her heart with a look of grief on her face. I learned everything from you, big brother, hee hee. Sutingyu, damn. Slander. Naked slander. Neither of them are human beings. Just know how to enslave her, a kind little fairy who is weak and can be bullied. Okay, I'll give it a try. Sutingyu agreed with a reluctant look on his face. Ying. The world is too dark and cold. She'd better go to her little angel for a hug and comfort, and give her some recognition at the same time. If not, let those little angels experience for themselves what it feels like to have their heads screwed off and played as balls. But, I'm going to fight bloody battles for our tomorrow. You guys won't just stay in the hotel until the dungeon is over, right? Sutingyu held her chin in both hands and looked at Gucci with a playful look. Do you think I just let everyone come to the hotel just for safety? Sutingyu was shocked and couldn't wait to ask, Guju, what are you trying to do? Say it quickly. 3 vacuum periods, 3 different locations, and these locations are all landmark buildings in the childlike amusement city. The copy cannot just highlight a certain point casually. It was planned from the beginning. Instead of searching for gifts all over the city like a needle in a haystack, it would be better to return to one of these 3 places and concentrate manpower on the search. The reason why I went to a big hotel instead of staying at the amusement park is because the amusement park is the last meeting point and there are many people and it is not safe to do anything. Between the big hotel and the Grand Square, Gucci chose the former with more building bunkers. If there was an emergency, the building bunkers in these big hotels could buy a certain amount of time. After Sutingyu heard this, he pondered for a moment and said, with your professional talent, you should be able to quickly identify which ones are gifts, right? Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 217. Chin-Chi suddenly said, he can't do it? For it. Gucci narrowed his eyes slightly and turned his head to look at Chin-Chi. It was obviously covered by sunglasses, but inexplicably a sharp and dangerous line of sight penetrated. Sutingyu blinked. Kikai, what does this mean? Tokens generally conceal information and require specific triggering methods, Chin-Chi explained. It means that there is no way to use probabilities or professional talents to find tokens. Can we only conduct a blanket search? Yeah, Chin-Chi nodded. At this time, Sutingyu slowly felt that dangerous sight and retracted it. Sutingyu and Fatty looked at each other in perfect understanding for the nth time. It almost hurt Chiyu again. Ahem, without further ado, I'll go first. Sutingyu stood up and said to several people. Sutingyu then approached Qin and reminded quietly, Kikai, remember what we said before? Qin, yes, remember. Sutingyu smiled sweetly, then turned and walked out. When passing Fatty, Sutingyu slowed down and lowered his voice. Fat man, keep an eye on Qin and don't let him get too close to Gucci. Ah, I can't do it. The fat man looked terrified. You have to do it even if you don't. I believe you can do it. Sutingyu patted the fat man's shoulder encouragingly, then walked out with small steps. Fatty was left alone, with tears of reluctance in his eyes. Boss, I was wrong, please come back. Outside the hotel, Sutingyu came out and looked around. This way? This way. Sutingyu randomly chose a direction, and then happily went to find her little angels. How can a good boy walk alone at night? Take her with you. Copy time, 1:30. Mad. What kind of monsters are these? Damn. I'm catching up. Run. Help me. Help me, ah. A team of 10 players had the misfortune to encounter an army of children parading in the street. The next second, one party is running away and the other party is chasing. The children clung to the team of players. As time passed, some players gradually became exhausted. After being caught up by the children, none of them survived and were bitten to death. Now, only 2 players are left alive, but they are approaching the point of exhaustion. No, I really can't run anymore. Get up quickly, get up. You run, I can't run anymore. One player wanted to give up and fell to the ground, but was dragged up by another player. But after such a delay, the army of children quickly approached the 2 of them. Any hope of escape seemed completely gone. It's over, it's over. Just as the 2 players watched the approaching army of children, completely falling into despair. Wow! I found you. A clear and tinkling female voice of surprise came from behind the 2 of them. The voice seemed to contain some kind of ecstasy of surprise after a long separation. The 2 subconsciously turned their heads to look, and saw a short, weak, and harmless-looking little loli, with a sincere smile on her face and jumping up and down towards the army of children covered in blood. Hiss! The brains of the 2 of them crashed at this moment. Hee hee. When they saw Sutingyu running over, the army of children roared at her in unison, as if to intimidate her. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 218. Sutingyu blinked his big eyes, calmly took out his star candy, and replied, Gilu gilu. H. When the ferocious children saw the candy, their ferocious expressions paused for a moment, and slowly turned into blank expressions, seemingly a little confused. The 2 players next to them felt that the atmosphere was a bit strange, but they seized this opportunity and slipped away quietly. Sutingyu's eyes passed through the many children and finally landed on a little boy without 2 arms. She shouted in surprise, Fuwa. There was a slight fluctuation in the little boy's dull eyes. He blinked slightly and stared at Sutingyu, who was approaching. Sutingyu reached out and rubbed Fuwa's head directly. She was enthusiastically surrounded by many children with broken arms and legs. She still spoke in a natural tone, Sister is here to see you. By the way, where is Nyomi? I want to die. It's her. As he spoke, Sutingyu also tossed the candy in his hand for all the children to see. For a moment, the army of angry children seemed to calm down, and hundreds of pairs of eyes stared at the candies tossed in Sutingyu's hand. Nyomi is, there. Sutingyu suddenly heard Fuwa speak, her voice a little stiff and hoarse, and intermittent. Is little Nyomi really here? Sutingyu pushed aside the child blocking the way with some curiosity. When Sutingyu saw this army of children, it was precisely when he saw the Fuwa at the front that he appeared. Nyomi, Nyomi, Sutingyu paused for a moment. Sutingyu looked down, blinked, and took another look. She really couldn't believe it. The little girl on the ground, who seemed to have had her lower body and 2 arms blown off by a cannonball, but still insisted on squirming, was her little Nyomi. Xiao Nyomi, sister is here. Sutingyu bent down and picked up Xiao Nyomi, who was covered in blood on the ground. Hee hee. Xiao Nyomi roared at Sutingyu, and even wanted to bite off the latter's neck. Sutingyu hugged the person with one hand, and brought the star candy to Xiao Nyomi's eyes with his free hand. Xiao Nyomi, my sister will treat you to some sweets, okay? Xiao Nyomi's expression froze, and her open mouth paused blankly. Sister, after staring at her for a few seconds, Xiao Nyomi finally recognized Sutingyu. Sister is here, Sutingyu responded softly, then silently took the candy away to avoid being eaten. Sister, it hurts so much. There are bad people bullying me. Xiao Nyomi seemed to have found a safe haven that she could rely on, and she couldn't stop sobbing. Don't be afraid. My sister is here. She will protect Xiao Nyomi. After Sutingyu comforted her, she turned to look at all the children, rolled her eyes slightly, and suddenly said righteously, every kind and lovely child, little angels, my sister will take you to find the big bad guy to take revenge, okay? At the playground, in the broadcast room, 7 or 8 burned cigarette butts were thrown at Xiao Xi's feet. At this time, there was still a half-burned cigarette between the fingers of his right hand, filled with smoke. Master, we are almost gone. The door opened from the outside, and a player wearing glasses came in. He stepped forward and reported the situation. Xiao Si asked, where are the major alliances of Miracle Red? Some of them have left, and those who have not left have also been negotiated with other alliances. Each of them can find them according to their own abilities. Well, let's get started. Xiao Si threw away the cigarette in his hand, stood up and walked out. At this moment, a bright female voice suddenly sounded outside the amusement park gate. Let's protect the childlike amusement city together and drive away the big bad guy inside. Rush the Duck. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 219. Blocking is worse than opening up. The best way to heal the pain is to vent it. So, Sutingyu, who thought about the children, gathered all the children in the city together and brought them to the entrance of the playground. Although several hours have passed since the vacuum period, Sutingyu believes that there must still be many players here. As Gucci mentioned, the 3 vacuum period gathering points are likely to contain children's gifts. The punishment is in a big hotel. You can't take the children there to harm your own people. Between the amusement park and the main square, Sutingyu chose the former. Because this is an amusement park, who doesn't like to play in the amusement park? Look, how considerate she is simply a good sister who moved the whole world. Sutingyu held Xiao Nyomi in one hand and waved to the army of children. There are extremely vicious villains inside. Let's defeat them together. Hee hee. Hit, beat, knock down. A large army of children rushed into the playground. This time, the players who were still in the amusement park were frightened. Damn! Where did these kids come from? What? Run! Ayo-yo! Don't bite my ass! Sutingyu slowly followed the army of children. Opening the panel, Sutingyu saw that the progress bars for tasks 3 and 4 in the hidden tasks had moved. The progress of task 3 suddenly reached 100% before Sutingyu led the army of children to the entrance of the playground. At the same time, gift candies can be used normally. The progress bar of task 4 did not jump up all at once, but slowly increased by a little or two. Sutinyu thought about it for a moment, and it probably had something to do with whether the children felt comfortable venting their anger. Then we can only let other players sacrifice themselves for others and make the children smile. I believe that every player is a good person with a kind heart and a righteous heart, and will be willing to play with the children. Sister, I really want to play at this time, Xiaonomi, who was huddled in Sutinyu's arms, said enviously. For it. Sutinyu thought for a moment, crawling to play. Will there be a trail of blood behind? Little Nyomi, stay with sister, okay. Sister wants to be with Xiaonomi, Sutinyu coaxed softly. Okay, okay, Xiaonomi replied with a blushing face and stopped mentioning what she was going to play. In order to avoid scaring other players, Sutinyu pulled a coat from the children's clothing store and covered Xiaonomi's body on the way here. From a distance, it looked like she was holding a pile of clothes, and no one would notice that Sutinyu was actually holding a little girl with only her upper body in her arms. Sutinyu was wandering around and entered a small forest, and then accidentally heard something whispered. Master, I don't know why these child NPCs went crazy. They rushed into the amusement park. Many members were separated. Ignore the gifts for now, gather people as soon as possible and leave the amusement park. After the footsteps gradually faded away, Sutinyu walked out from behind a big tree, glanced at the two unfamiliar figures who were about to disappear, and curled his lips playfully. It seems that there are still many people with brains. Thanks to these smart people, we are still in the playground. Otherwise, if Sutinyu brought an army of children to the amusement park but didn't see any players letting them vent, there might be some troubles. What a pity! Sutinyu could no longer see the two figures and could only sigh into the air. Then, he also left here. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 220. The children who rushed into the playground roared loudly and vented their many grievances and anger. Sutinyu was walking in the amusement park, occasionally looking up at the blood moon in the sky. As time went by, the blood moon had slowly turned into a half-moon shape, which made Sutinyu a little curious about what would happen when the blood moon turned into a full moon. Run, help! Help me! Savmoy! As perhaps the only spectator at the scene, Sutinyu walked around the playground, admiring the body art made by the children from time to time. Wait a minute, with so many players raising their eyebrows, wouldn't there be more game items dropped? Sutinyu's eyes suddenly lit up. Sutinyu did it as soon as he thought of it. While holding Xiaonomi in his arms, Sutinyu went to pick up the game items dropped by the dead players. Because they were all killed by children, the explosion rate reached 100%, and all 5 game items were exploded at once. Sutinyu only picked up hundreds of game items for about half an hour. Sutinyu didn't have time to check the detailed information of the game items. He only took a quick look at the grades. Most of them were diamond and bronze grades, and occasionally a few rare grades appeared. With so many game items, Sutinyu must trade them, exchange them for game currency, and then go to the mall to exchange for the sickle upgrade materials he needs. Originally, Sutinyu was still worried about how to upgrade the sickle. But now, Sutinyu seemed to see game coins everywhere waving to her. As long as you pick up too many, the sickle will turn into a god of death. This is not a dream. Sutinyu is like a little hamster, happily harvesting the fruits of the harvest. But in the panic and chaos, Sutinyu was not the only one who thought of taking advantage of the opportunity to make money. When Sutinyu bumped into the first player who also picked up the missing player, he was stunned for a moment. Ah! After a second to react, Sutinyu glared angrily at the player who snatched her game items. Children's game items exploded equals her game items exploded equals her game items. Correct. So, Sutinyu walked over, swept out the misty stick, and aimed it at the back of the head of the player who was picking up game items. Bang! Knock him out directly. Sutinyu first put all the game items into the inventory, then pulled out the player's doll body, tore it into pieces, and got points. Little Nyomi, bite him. Finally, Sutinyu released Xiao Nyomi and killed the player. There's nothing she can do, the children's explosion rate is higher than hers, so they have to know how to use roundabout tactics. Next, whenever Sutinyu saw players snatching her game items, she would give them the same treatment. It's not like he didn't encounter any tough situations, but Sutinyu was even tougher and suppressed them all. If that doesn't work, just yell at the nearby children and use the ancestral tactic of surrounding the player with children, and you can easily get rid of it. As time passed, Sutinyu's hands became numb while picking up game items. So, I decided to focus on the player's doll body. Sutinyu got points by destroying the doll body before the children completely killed the other players. Then, just wait and touch the body. But sometimes, some children become jealous and even suddenly turn against Sutinyu when they see him. At this time, Sutinyu still looked calm. Because she was holding a sober little Nyomi in her arms, every time a child wanted to attack Sutinyu, little Nyomi would immediately glare at those children fiercely. The children who were glared at by Xiao Nyomi calmed down and remembered that Sutinyu was their good sister and good friend. They were all shy. After blinking at Sutinyu, they turned to look for others. Player. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuan-Kei. Chapter 221. The 10th day of the copy. Copy time, 7:45. In the playground, the children who had been partying for more than a day suddenly lay on the ground tiredly. Sutinyu raised his head, and the blood moon in the sky gradually turned into a full moon. When the full moon appeared, traces of blood-colored gas rose from the ground like air currents, and all floated towards the blood moon in the sky. The children lay on the ground with blank eyes, and traces of blood-colored gas with black light rose from their bodies, floating toward the blood moon and being absorbed by the blood moon. The more blood moon absorbed, the surface seemed to have swelled. After a full 10 minutes. Bang! The blood moon is like a balloon that has inflated to the extreme and suddenly explodes. Scattered golden light spots like fireflies exploded from the blood moon, and then fell down. Golden light spots blended into the earth, houses, tree trunks, the entire desolate city seemed to be injected with life and glowed with new colors. The broken earth became smooth, and the dirt walls became white. Dead trees bloom with new green in spring, dotting the bare trunks. 1, 2, countless delicate grasses and flowers broke out of the ground, stretching their little bodies freely and equally in the fresh air. In the distance, the towering bell tower standing between the clouds rang out the ethereal and distant bells. The sun rose again in the east, and when the first ray of light in the sky parted the clouds and fog, the warm sunshine poured down. The earth is luxuriant and all living beings are equal. In just 10 minutes, the entire childlike amusement city has undergone earth-shaking changes. This made all the surviving players confused for a while. The appearance of the blood moon will gradually turn into a full moon. Logically speaking, shouldn't there be a more dangerous situation? Inside the big hotel. Master, so far, 27 tokens have been found. After being triggered, they were distributed to elite members. Gucci stood up and walked towards the door. On the steps at the door, Qin-Chi and Fatty were sitting there. The fat man stared at Qin-Chi, and Qin-Chi stared in the direction of the entrance of the hotel. Seeing this scene, Gucci frowned. You just let Angel Su fool the child, you didn't let her stay up all night, and your points inexplicably increased to first place, right? In the playground. The children, who were also integrated into the golden light spots, saw their anger disappear, the blood stains on their bodies were wiped away, their bodies returned to health, and they all put on exquisite and neat clothes. The little Nyomi in Sutingyu's arms twisted her body and jumped down. The little white skirt was blown by the breeze, like a dancing white butterfly, smart and delicate. Sister, thank you. Xiao Nyomi smiled with her eyes crooked, her delicate face turned as pink as a peach, and her little hands were still behind her back in embarrassment. Sutingyu was startled for a moment, then realized what he was doing, squatted down, and gently stroked Xiao Nyomi's head again. You're welcome. Sister, I'm leaving, Xiao Nyomi said sweetly, and when Sutingyu wasn't paying attention, she secretly kissed her on the cheek, and then ran to her little friend. All the children raised their smiles, waved their little hands, and said goodbye to Sutingyu. Sister, goodbye. Then, Sutingyu saw warm white light emitting from all the children, and their bodies began to become elusive and transparent. Little by little, it seems to be completely integrated into the sunshine. Following the light, they went to a country where they were happy and carefree. Congratulations to all players for successfully completing the level of Happy Children's Day. All players will be sent a copy in 10 seconds. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuan-K. Chapter 222. Congratulations, the copy of the Children's Day event has been cleared and settlement is in progress. Get experience value 3000, game currency 6000, free attribute point add 1, lottery chance *10. Number of game items obtained, 1933. Number of tokens obtained, 8. Ranking on the hunting list, 1, points on the hunting list, 28,300. Reward for first place on the hunting list, game currency 10,000, special items 3, free attribute points add 5. Unlock hidden plot, 1, complete hidden plot, 1, 100%, gain experience value 5000, game currency 10000, lottery chance 10. Congratulations on winning the senior title, Kid King. Function, increase children's affinity by 50%, making it easier to gain children's friendship. Note, when it comes to fooling children, I am a professional. Settlement completed. Sutingyu, who returned to the settlement space, took a look at his settlement panel, took another look, and then... Wow! What a great harvest! Sutingyu jumped up with joy. Sutingyu was not in a hurry to go out. He clicked on the game items first and got the statistics given by the system. Mysterious Blue level, 17. Rare grade, 361. Diamond grade, 1003. Bronze grade, 455. Ordinary grade, 97. The player 5 elements short of money has applied to add you as a friend, please do you agree? It's Chibubi. Sutingyu was just about to go to him to discuss the deal when someone happened to arrive. Sutingyu clicked to agree. Chibubi, hello Angel Su, I'm here to discuss a deal with you. Is it convenient for you now? Sutingyu, convenient and convenient, I just wanted to find you. This is the game item I got in this copy. Sutingyu sent the list. After waiting for more than 10 seconds, the other party responded. Chibubi, Miss Su, are you kidding me, over 1,000 game items? Sutingyu, you're not kidding, there are just so many, isn't it, because Seeing can't eat so many game items? Chibubi, Miss Su, so many game items are estimated to be worth millions of game coins, and Seeing's current working capital is only a few 100,000 game coins. Sutingyu blinked. She could imagine that Seeing might not be able to eat so many game items, but she didn't expect that he couldn't even eat half of them. So what's the deal? More than 1,000 game items are of little use if they cannot be cashed in or exchanged for the game items you need. Chibubi, Ms. Su, in addition to direct cash flow, do you use barter to trade? Sutingyu, okay, I just happen to have some game items that need to be collected. Chibubi, you can make another barter list if Sing's warehouse has what you need, you can exchange it at equal value. Sutingyu, okay, just wait a moment. Sutingyu's first thought of bartering game items was naturally the upgrade materials that the sickle lacked, and then added the stone tablets and materials used for daily maintenance of the sickle. Meteor Metamorphic Rock 50. Maintenance Iron Essential Oil *50. Abyss Meteorite *15. Yellow Spring Water *10. Mandala Essence *10. The remaining Fire of Nether Hellfire *4. Sutingyu thought for a moment and thought about the steel upgrade materials she got in the dungeon. Those materials could only upgrade the steel to diamond. Sing should have more advanced upgrade materials, right? Add this too. After confirming that it was correct, Sutingyu sent the list. After waiting for a minute, Chibubi replied, Miss Su, of the two types of daily maintenance materials in the list, there are more advanced ones here. Use them once and you can completely repair no less than 20% of the game props you do. You need to change to the latter. Chibubi took advantage of the situation and sent the price. Sutingyu looked carefully and saw that each of the maintenance materials Chibubi mentioned cost 1000 game coins. The previous maintenance Iron Essential Oil and Meteorite Metamorphic Rock were only 100 game coins, but they could only repair 10% at a time. Comparing the two, if the game currency is abundant, it will be more convenient to use the former. Today there are thousands of updates. Oh, is it too much to ask for a subscription? It's the end of the month, are you looking for a monthly pass? Not too much. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 223. Sutingyu gave the reply. Yes, the transaction quantity for these two types of maintenance materials is still 50 pieces each. Chibubi, okay, this is the number of game items that Sing needs to trade. Mysterious Blue level, 5. Rare level, 50. Diamond grade, 100. When Sutingyu saw the list of transaction quantities given by Chibubi, it seemed to be quite a lot at first glance, but compared with the more than 1000 game items, it was only 1/10 at most. Sutingyu, ahem, how about we trade more? Chibubi sent another list, which was an evaluation form, showing the price range of each level of game items. Normal, 5200. Bronze, 200800. Diamond, 10008000. Rare, 1W3W. Blue Mystery, 5W50W. Based on this evaluation form, Sutingyu calculated the game currency prices of the game items traded. 85W480W. His. Sutingyu silently glanced at his chat history and felt the urge to withdraw it. Chibubi, can you please send me the information about Diamond Blue Mysterious Grade game items? Sutingyu, wait a moment. With so many game items, there must be something Sutingyu likes among them. Sutingyu read some of the game items and sent information about the game items that were not very needed to Chibubi. Chibubi seemed to know that Sutingyu was selecting, so he didn't ask why he didn't send all the game item information at once. After roughly watching for more than 20 minutes, Sutingyu left some of the game items and sent all the information about the rest of the game items. Chibubi didn't let Sutingyu wait for a long time. About 5 minutes later, he came back with the reply, this is a game item traded in Xingzhou, please make sure there is nothing wrong with it. Sutingyu looked at it carefully twice and made sure that there were no game items that she particularly needed, and then replied, no problem. As soon as Sutingyu's chat message was sent, Chibubi gave the prepared price. Quantity and pricing of traded game items. Blue Mystery, 5 pieces, totaling 30W. Rare, 50 pieces, total 55W. Diamond, 100 pieces, total 40W. Total transaction price, 125W. Later, there are detailed formulas and evaluation terms for the pricing of each game item. These are definitely not something Chibubi can do in a short time. Seeing is a big business and there should be a dedicated team in charge of this aspect. As for Sutingyu, she could only painstakingly confirm whether there were any loopholes in the pricing. Among the game items that Chibubi chose to trade, the blue mysteries were just materials, and the prices were generally not high, only worth tens of thousands. As for the rare and diamond grade game items, Chibubi didn't pick them purely on the expensive side. Some of them were relatively low priced, which lowered the total price. Sutingyu, there is no problem with this pricing. How many game items do I need? Chibubi sent a list again. Barter game item quantity and pricing. Starfire Ash Powder, 50, total 5W. Metal Storm Essence, 50, total 5W. Abyss Meteorite, 15, total 7.5W. Yellow Spring Water, 10, total 8W. Mandala Essence, 5, total 16W. The remaining Fire of the Netherworld Fire, 2, a total of 16W. Meteorite, 8, total 4.8W. Metamorphic Stone Milk, 2, total 1W. Requiem 9 Words True Talisman, 4, total 1.6W. Total barter price, 64.9. Wow! Sutingyu was really surprised by Seeng's warehouse inventory, which actually contained most of the upgrade materials she needed for her scythe. Sutingyu folded his hands and counted them. If the deal with Seeng was successful, then the only upgrade materials missing for the sickle would be Mandala Essence 5 and Nether Hell's Residual Fire 2. The upgrade of the sickle is already close at hand.